Alright, we're so nearly there with the trousers, so let's go ahead now and we'll actually have a look at addressing some of the leg folds this time. So we want to treat these leg folds essentially the same way we treat the trouser folds. So if we take a look back from it now, they're not as kind of in a strange way as these shirt folds were. We've got some kind of sharp creases here. We've done a lot with the damn standard brush, but all we want to do essentially is just kind of come through and at a distance carry some of these folds into their, I guess, their final forms. Okay, so for this one I'm probably going to be looking at these two here for the primary reference, okay, just to see how the trousers would sort of go and just leave it there as a general idea. So I'm going to get rid of my pinch brush, I don't want that yet. I'm going to go back to my standard brush and it's safe to solo this out for now. Okay, so anywhere here, for example, I might just want to change the trajectory of that, make it a bit lower. This one here I might want to carry it into there. So with my damn standard brush, I just keep the power on very low and just want to essentially change up how some of the folds look, okay, and carry any round, so to say. So we're not maybe going to create new folds, we'll see how we go. Okay, we're just going to focus on the ones that are already there and look at kind of integrating them a bit better. Okay, so this one here, for example, I might choose to split it. Okay, I might split it into one like that and one like that, and then actually use the damn standard brush just to kind of split it like that. Okay, so I've actually turned one stroke into two, because why not? Okay, just keep that tidy, something like that. So this is where at this point in time you can do something like that, and I can see there's potential here at the back for the similar idea. So that goes up in there, no problem, but it splits there just underneath, well, her butt cheek. Okay, okay, and then here as well. So this is a good opportunity to really put the weighting towards a lower bottom area of the fold because of gravity, and do the same there. And then some cross here, start to bring it over, but now you're not going to get a lot of folds in this section here, simply because it's the tightest part of the trousers. Okay, but where you are going to get folds is sections here, and then somewhat around here, and somewhat around here, and definitely through there. Okay, so anywhere except right in the middle there. Okay, so what we can sort of do here is, I think, higher subdivision level, and let's just kind of create a few little random streaks like that, and we'll do the same thing, but this time not with the damn standard brush, but the standard brush itself, and just sort of, not too many now, not too many, just some different sizes, change it up, expand it out. Okay, and now this looks messy. If you smooth that away, however, you've got some sort of phantom-ish areas that were basically once there. They're kind of pulled just between. It's kind of what you'd see on the front part of the shirt, you know, with her chest and whatnot. Okay, so you've just got something there like that, and you can carry them across a bit further if you like, you know, no problems. Okay, but you do want to basically smooth that away once it kind of gets anywhere near that little kind of line. So you've got something like that. Okay, and if we restore that line which was there before, it now makes a bit more sense. Yeah, so just something very simple like that, just to kind of not make it look like there's nothing there. It's almost barely there because it's quite tight. Okay, and of course as you come underneath here, you can afford to basically create more folds because the fabric is loose. It's not so tight under here, so you can create more sort of folds, but as you get higher and higher, they will of course naturally disappear. Okay, so once you've done that, come in with the damn standard brush, highlight some of these areas, just carry them over. Okay, And there you go. I wouldn't go any higher than that. Okay, I would just leave it there. Going any higher right now I think would risk it looking too saggy, essentially. Not the nice sort of semi-fitted trousers she was wearing earlier. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Although I will kind of swing into this guy a bit more down here. This looks cool. So it's like a cool fold. I'll just exaggerate his presence with the standard brush. And I'll use the damn standard brush just to now tweak how that looks. Smooth it out. There we go. Okay, cool. So essentially this is what we're doing, just going all the way around the model. This upper part here I'm quite happy with, honestly. I just want to make sure, also point this out. So if you've got areas like this where it's a bit wibbly wobbly, you can just use the move tool to straighten out some strokes. It shouldn't all be so wobbly. Some of them should be quite linear and sharp. Okay, so if you've got a lot of wobbly folds, it can just help to come in with the move brush and just de-wobbly some areas. You know, I mean, that's okay down there, so to speak. And yeah, not too many. Right, let's do the same for the knees. Stay far away if you can. We're on subdivision level 3. Let's come down to 2. And let's like I say, keep this a bit more consistent. So I'll probably have to use the inflate brush here, just to kind of keep some of these strokes the same size. I don't want so much variation in the thickness of these, so I want them to be relatively consistent. You see, if you don't know what I'm doing here, I'm just using the inflate brush, the normal inflate brush, and using its inverse function just to kind of keep these folds a bit more uniformed in how thick they are. Okay. Obviously, as they get towards the ends, they will taper, but they shouldn't go thin, thick, thin, thick, thin, thick. That's a bit strange looking. Okay. Right. Like I said, try your best to stay away from the model so you can see the overall effect here. Okay, now here comes the slightly trickier part. We're going to have to go up a subdivision level here, and any kind of folds that seem to lose their, what can we say, their potency, just restore them a little bit. Around the knees is quite a safe area just to kind of go a little bit ham with folds, because it's a lot of fabric that's being kind of pushed together, it's being wrapped around, and not only is it wrapping around the knees, but it's also being tucked into boots, so we have quite a lot of forces acting on this particular part of the clothing here. So it's quite a safe area just to really indulge your folding creativity that we've been holding back really until now. Okay, so just feel free to go quite ham, I guess, on this part here, and really bring out any sort of folds you want for this section. And of course, any ones that seem to deteriorate like this, just use a standard brush and bring them back into existence. Okay. So it's completely up to your discretion how you'd want to do this, how much you want to do it. But it should be quite a fun section. So you can see my strokes are moving quite quickly, and it's two reasons for that. First of all, I'm not at the point and stage where I'm going to be concerned about every single stroke I'm doing. I'm just going ahead and making some general strokes all the way around, and the speed in which I'm doing this stops me from being too concerned about these strokes I'm doing. I'm just going with the flow, essentially, and just adding in what I feel is good. Again, always keep that shift smooth brush to hand. It is your best friend at this point in time. So, but at the same time, I don't want you to be like this, be like, no, that's too slow. Doing something like that, it's going to make you hesitate. Probably going to make you get some quite hesitant folds as well. So just keep your pen moving quite quickly across your stylus, and just with confidence add these strokes back in. Okay, so you could probably hear my pen scratching away on the surface of my tablet, and that should give you a good idea as to how how sort of strongly and how blasé I'm being about this particular process. Okay. Again, encourage you to change the size of your brushes. Don't always keep with the same size. Change it up. Add a bit of variance in there. So here is an opportunity to do a sort of semi-split. There we go. Okay. Right, so if we pull away, that's the effect there that we've got instead. You can see those are much more defined now. Okay. So what we want to do now, again, come in with our damn standard brush. And you remember, if we go back to the shirt, do you remember when I was sort of creating these kind of alcove folds? Well, we've got some down here too. For example, this one here is a long kind of stretched one, but if we just do a damn standard fold there and just use the inverse of it, you see, there it is. We can just kind of paint in that kind of ellipse type fold there. Okay, and we've got this is also a very common fold. Let's increase the intensity a bit. This is quite a common fold where you've got a split like that as well, and you could just emphasize that with an X. And of course, bigger damn standard brush, emphasize that part there, no problem. Okay, again, somewhat with the same boldness, similar boldness to what you were doing with the standard brush. Come in with the damn standard brush now and just kind of attempt to make some of these folds less round and more kind of, what can we say, a bit more purposeful. Give them a bit of an angle to them. Okay, you want to keep your damn standard brush fairly large for this process, just to give them a bit more definition. Okay, obviously when you get to a point where there's a lot of folds, you will have to reduce your brush size just so that you're not affecting and pulling on other folds too much. But just try your best to give some sort of angled weighting to some of these folds, essentially. So here, for example, that can carry through. There you go. I believe that's hidden by the boot, yep, so we don't need to do that part. Okay. Nearly there on this side now. Okay, now swap to the other side. Again, if your damn standard brush is too big, it will just kind of thin out some of the smaller folds, so you will have to make changes to the size of the damn standard brush as you go along in this process. So, there we go. Here's another one of those kind of starfish-like folds. Go on, get over there, you. There you go. Go on, get over there. Yes. That's a bit better. Okay, and here as well. And this is quite a wibbly wobbly part, so this is probably going to take a bit of going backwards and forwards here, just to kind of straighten these areas, these kind of lumpy bits out. There we go, that's already much better rather than these weird, hideous, lumpy bits, which just didn't look right. It's funny, really, how sometimes this process can, you get some folds that just kind of be like, well, how did they happen like that. It's like, oh, it is software at the end of the day. I mean, Marvel's Designer did do a good job. You know, I'm not knocking it really, but of course it is software. It's a simulation. It's only accurate to a certain degree. I think also one other thing that might help here is if we mask off this leg here. Let's polygroup that for now, masked form, and then we'll just hide it so we can actually see what's going on here. And we can see there's this kind of cluster. That's a bit of a mess, so let's go subdivision down, smooth this out, and we'll just kind of redraw that in a bit. There we go, so that's a bit better. Okay. Cool, it's starting to come together now. You can sort of see it just being reined sort of back in. Okay, cool. So another thing as well, trim dynamic brush. Just come in and trim some of the fat away. Here, for instance. Any areas that start to look a bit too sharp, obviously, smooth them down. And for things like this, I kind of want to almost, there we go. That's a much better looking edge rather than having that kind of goopy sausage looking fold. Okay. Same here. Let's keep that emphasis going all the way up. Kind of keep the lower half flatter. And then curve it round. And then we could also sort of turn that up into the top part. There we go. We can smooth that. That looks heaps better than just a big chunky old sausage fold. And then here we can do the same for underneath. And we want to do the same here. Smooth that out. Oops. And this weird pointed bit here, don't want that. And then just smooth this top area out. So you can see what I'm doing is I'm just trying to get rid of any sausage looking folds. That's a good name for them. Any folds that look like weird sausages, just don't want them. Don't want them. They look a bit funny, look a bit wrong, so let's just get rid of them. So here's another. This is a prime. Look at this. Look at this chunky fella over here. Let's go ahead and just introduce some trim dynamicness into his life. There we go. And then let's do similar on top. So he was such a chunky sausage that he needed trim dynamicking on the bottom as well as the top. A bit more all the way around. Smooth it out as you do this process just so it doesn't look too chiseled. And that's heaps better. Heaps better. Now this is not to say you can't have rounded folds, of course you can. But most of these folds are beholden to gravity, so they will sort of hang down. They won't just maintain their chunkiness in the middle. Okay, so that trouser leg there looks heaps better already. Okay, than when before we started this process. Let's just quickly take the same idea. We'll just have this leg now, and any sausage sort of looking folds, you know what to do. Get rid of them. Well, tweak them. I wouldn't say get rid of them per se, but just tweak them so that they look a bit more correct. This one, for example, prime candidate here. So let's sort of do a top dynamic trim. There we go. So the weight is emphasize the hang a little bit lower. Yes, ZBrush. Oh dear. Please keep your fingers crossed. Okay, that wasn't too bad. It didn't crash. That's good. Okay, so really should turn that off. Let's go to preferences. Where is it? Quick save. Duration 600, whatever that is. There we go. I really feel like ZBrush by now should come with that. Probably not automatically disabled, but at least sort of to be like, hey, we have an autosave function here that, is meant to save your work, but all this kind of thing. But it's not like, it's not like how any other program does it. ZBrush takes so long to save files that you need to be sort of told about it. Otherwise, if it does crash, it's like, oh, well, if you hadn't tried to autosave, I probably wouldn't have crashed, So sometimes that autosave function, at least for me personally, has actually caused more crashes than it's saved. ZBrush is in such a stable position now that it's probably not going to crash very often, unless you're using like one of something over here on the right hand side. But just general work backwards and forwards with strokes and whatnot, I think the case for autosaves really is a thing of the past now, or at least should be given the option to turn it off on startup, I mean, because obviously I did just more or less effectively disabled it there. Okay, so what have we done there? This is okay, that looks pretty good so far, right? But it's not the same as the other leg. Okay, so we do have to come in and maybe add a few more details here and there, but I'll leave that for the next video for now, because we also got to decide, well, what are we going to do with our boots before we really determine where all the folds are going to be.